Hello everyone, I am Hanan Bashir. I am currently pursuing chemistry from IIT Bombay. Today I am going to give an overview of lecture 7, 8 and 9 of the course CH104 in organic chemistry. So let's start. In this lecture, we are going to discuss how that the MOT theory describes the bonding between atoms as the mixing of waves. So, if two waves are interfering with each other in a positive or in a constructive manner, then we get a bonding molecular orbital. Whereas if they are destructive interferencing, then we will get an anti-bonding molecular orbital. So this is the basic concept here. So we are using this to solve various problems. So how do we determine the bond order? So this is determined by the bonding molecular orbital electrons subtracted by number of electron in anti-bonding whole divided by 2. More the bond order, stronger the bond. And filling molecular orbital, we use the Aufbau principle and Pauli's exclusion principle and Hund's rule. So in this example, you can see we have H2 molecule. So there will be one electron here, one here. We fill them in the both bonding or molecular orbital. We will get this, and then bond order will come out to be 1. So this is possible. Similarly, we can test for the presence of different type of molecules. So He2 plus we can test. So we get the bond order is half. So it will exist. Then for He molecule, we will find out the bond order is 0. So it cannot exist. So using MO diagram, we can predict whether any type of molecules are exist. So it's like that Li2 and B2 both can exist. Both can't exist. Instead, only one will exist, which is Li2, and B2 won't exist because it will have zero bond order. This is a diagram showing that along same axis, if p orbitals are mixing, we'll get this, and if they are in destructive interference, then we'll get a node in between. Similarly, in case of the pi bonding also, then this is the relative energy that sigma star is greater than pi star, then pi, and then sigma. This is the case of 2p, and in end-to-end interaction, the bonding is more effective as compared to side-to-side bonding. Then we have to keep in mind that there is a change of pattern of the energies of these orbitals. So in the case of till nitrogen, we observe that this pi will be at bottom, and oxygen onwards pi will be at the second most position. Then the MO diagram for NO. Just a second. Yeah, sorry for the disturbance. Then this is the heteronuclear diatomic molecule HF. So here, when we draw the same molecular orbital of the molecules, then we'll get this structure. This is anti-bonding and this is bonding. And simply just I describe that from nitrogen or till nitrogen, the energy of pi will be lower than the sigma, but oxygen onward it will come back to normal. And this is the structure of water molecule which is determined by MOT theory, and this is CO. And here you can see this is BF3, this is SF6. So we can draw any structure using this theory. And Lewis model is used to determine octet. WCPR is used to determine steric number. WBT hybridization concept, and MOT will decide bond distance, bond strength, reactivity, and magnetic properties. So this is the way how these were discovered. Now coming to lecture 8 and 9. So this is the lecture where we were introduced to transition metal chemistry. So transition metals are basically the elements of the D and F block. So the transition elements can be exactly defined as those elements which have a partially filled D block. So zinc won't come under that. The group 3 to 5 are referred as early transition metals and generally oxophilic and halophilic. Smaller number of d electron and hardness of this element, they're affinited towards hard donors such as oxygen halogens. Then late transition metal, to the right of the periodic table are soft and high affinity towards sulfur or selenium, which are the soft donors. And the D block series have S, P, and D orbitals in their valence shell. So this is the format where we can observe the scandium will exit in +3, then titanium will in +4, and so on. So this is the table which you can keep in mind. Ligands, the compound of metal ions coordinated by referred to as metal complexes and ligands, and representative ligands are shown here according to the donor element. Common ligands are those with complicated chemical formula or long names are expressed in abbreviated forms. The number of atoms bonded to a central metal is the coordination number. And this is the nature of early transition metals such as group 3 and 5. So these are the properties that they're strong electrophilic and oxophilic in nature, few redox reaction with except of titanium, and less than 18 electron never obey the 18 electron rule. Then few d electron preference for hard sigma donors. Then the transition elements are d block, and they are strictly such that there are 1 to 9 electrons in the d orbital. So zinc is not exactly a transition element. Then going down the group, the atomic radius increases from first to second series and additional electron shell is added. But there is a contraction as we go very down below because of the lanthanide and the actinide contraction. This effect is mostly marked in the left of the D block because of the lanthanide contraction, and just as we discussed, the size first increases and the size is moderately equal as we go down. The effect has largely disappeared over the time if you reach copper group and silver and gold and a more identical atomic radiuses. The first period of transition metal behave quite differently from second and third period. To understand the chemistry of transition, one have to need the effect how the d electrons behave. So this is the structure of the d different d orbitals. Then metallic elements with incomplete d or f shell are called transition elements. They are made up of 56 of the 103 elements in the periodic table, which is almost half. Then although scandium and yttrium belong to the d block, their properties are similar to that of lanthanides. Then valence shell electrons, in particular d electron configuration control and spectromagnetic properties as well as reactive complexes. The theory of electronic structure is very important to understand the property and reactivities. So we see that the bonding and anti-bonding molecular structure assists in understanding the reactivity and structure of the metal complexes. Then we'll just go just deep into d block chemistry. So metal of transition metals show that metallic properties. They're hard, malleable, and ductile, good conductors of heat and electricity. Then these are some properties which you can keep in mind. And metals such as titanium, zirconium, iron, nickel, and so on are used in many ways in everyday life. Each group of D block have three member and is called triad. Metals of second order are also called heavier D block. Then rhodium, osmium, rhodium, this is rubium, sorry, and palladium and platinum are collected known as platinum group metals. The first transition metals will have such filling, and then their these configurations are more stable than this 3D9 4s2. There will be irregularity for chromium, copper. So we have to just keep in mind the ones where we have observing irregularity. So chromium and copper in the first transition series. In the second, irregularity for Nb. Then third will be observed in the platinum, and in the fourth transition we will observe that there will be no irregularities. In the third transition, we see that platinum has a irregularity because 5d8 6s2 to 5d9 6s1 it is skipping, and in the fourth transition, the actinium to element 104 there is no irregularity. Property of D block element different considerably between the 3D and 4D series, but 4D and 5D have similarities because of this lanthanide contraction. The size is almost same and will have a similar properties. Metal complexes of 3D show up 6 coordination. So you can see this example. Higher oxidation are more stable in case of 4D and 5D metal. 3D metal generally show +2 and +3 oxidation state, and very few like molybdenum and tungsten exist in +3 states. Then coordination theory. This was first proposed by Werner, and he described the primary valency and secondary valency. Primary is the one which have only ionic complexes, and secondary is one which is both ionic and neutral complexes. Uh, this primary valencies are satisfied by our normal ionic bond where 3Cl minus are held by primary, and in this secondary, there's the example where 6NH3 held by secondary valency. The secondary valencies have this shape configurations. For example, in octahedral, they will be represented by OH square. They will be given by PY, or pyramidal, or TP, or triangle bipyramidal. Square planar will have SQP, and tetrahedral will have TD. These are the reaction which by we can determine which will have secondary and which will have primary valencies. So here 6NH3 will be directly connected to the cobalt, and when we add AgNO3, 3 AgCl will come out, as these are outside the coordination complex. Then 5NH3 here, so 1 Cl will be directly attached to cobalt and 2 will be outside, 2 AgCls, and so on. We can do it for PTCl4 also. And this is an example where Jorgensen, who is the contemporary of Werner, tried to disprove that coordination complexes will have isomeric effects. So when he observed that there is no optical isomer, even though it does not have a chiral center, uh, he was able to create this compound which does not have any chiral center, but it shows optical properties. So by creating it, they were able, Werner was able to get Nobel Prize. And nomenclature of coordination compound. So this is something basic which we know from our GE days, that we have this terminologies for each. Like H2 will have aqua, chloro for chlorine, and chromium for here the first main atom, and we will have this coordination uh, term at the last, which is 2 plus. Then we add 8 if the this is a cation, and this is the coordination complex center. So ferrate, plumbate, aurate, argentate, stannate, and cuprate. So this will be their Latin names, which we're adding an 8 at the end. So cis, trans, mer, and facile, we are adding these terms in front of the atoms. I mean the molecular names, such that we can know what type of structure is it. So like cisplatin, we know cisplatin is used for treatment of cancer. So we add that cis to know that it is a particular type of complex. We cannot take the trans one, as it won't work. Then chelating bidental ligands are the ones which are covering an atom from all sides. So we have to mention how many atoms are chelating. So we add that N2 will be for bidental, tridental will have N3 and eta 3, and so on. And this is the classification of isomerisms. So you have to just go through this table. I'll just zoom this in. So isomers have two types, structural and stereoisomer. Structure will have two types, that coordination and linkage. Similarly, stereoisomers will have geometric and optical. So these are the definition. You can just go through them. And these are the examples for each type of isomerism. Polydentate ligand are the ligands which can ligand from different direction. Then the example for is EDTA, which is ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. It has total 6 places from it can ligand towards the central atom, which is 4 O's and 2 nitrogens. EDT can wrap around or chelate and coordinate at 6 octahedral sites. Then linkage isomerism, different spots from where a same atom of a same molecule can link to the central atom. So this is nitrito. It is NO2 minus joins through oxygen, or nitro via N. Linkage isomerism is the one where the different linkage point can be there. So similar to the previous one, we have seen that the color changes will occur also. This is yellow and this is red. Stereoism will have same connectivity but different spatial arrangement. But in geometric, the ligand will have different spatial arrangement about the metal atom, and optical will have non-superimposable mirror images. Geometric, this is an example. This is cis and this is trans. This is a cisplatin. This is transplatin. Optical isomers, where the octahedral complex containing polydental ligand can form optical isomers, and the structures can be either left or right handed with non-superable images. So this is an example. Isomers are the ones we just discussed, and CO3 and ethyl diamine react to form several products. So we have a question that determine the number of isomer for each product, label any enantiomer via the proper product. So it's a question but it's not mentioned here. That these are the names for the each naming atom. So here this is hydrido, this is carbonyl, cyanomethyl, cyanopentadienyl, and this is the table for the formula accordingly, and this is the abbreviation. Only bigger names will have these abbreviations, small ones won't have. This is classification of ligands. Salts of NiCN5 is the shape of anion depending on the cation present. The metal ligand bonding should have sigma bond, pi donor, and sigma acceptor and pi acceptor components. This is a structure where you can see CN is coordinating with Cu, and the halides can bridge with bend linear and tri-bridging molecule of CP groups. So we can calculate the oxidation number of this compound. So we can see that cobalt will be having SCN minus will have 4 minus. This is plus 2, so this will have plus 2. Cobalt will have plus 2 state. In this case, NO3 will have 2 minus, and this will have plus 6. So this is Ni plus 4. Similarly, this is minus 6 and this is plus 2. So we will have Pt plus 4. Then ligands can be cationic or anionic in nature, but mostly we have observed they are anionic. Then this is our tropylium cation. This is NO plus. So tropylium cation acts as a cationic ligand, and mostly we can see neutral ligand as well. It's like NS3 and Cu. So these are the example of the coordination in 5D and 4D series. You can keep this in mind. Then two coordinate complex many electron D10 Cu plus Ag plus and U plus form linear complexes such like these, and zero valent compounds form very bulky tricyclohexyl phosphine ligands as well. And generally stable two coordinate complex are known for late transition. Now this is an example where we have to draw the structure of FeN, SiMe3, whole 3 and whole 3 again is one example, and which we have to draw this. So we have finished lecture 7, lecture 8 and lecture 9. Okay, so thanks for watching.